The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
This week's episode of PSVG Prime is brought to you by the amazing Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/PSVG, but especially Edwin Callow, Coach Hulk, Barry Cathcart, Chris M, Paul Calico, Kyle Heyman, Benny Lou, and Joel Voss, aka Professor Switch. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for your love and support. But thank you to all of our Patreon supporters and every listener of PSVG. In case you haven't joined the Patreon yet, here's what you get. I'm gonna give you the lowdown. Just listen up. 1 second. Knock it off. You knock it off. Okay. You get exclusive episodes of PSVG DLC. You get Arcadia Academia, you get Kevin Hates Everything, and you get Bored with Everything now. And on top of that, that's not it. But wait, there's more. You get entered into our monthly Patreon of the Month giveaway. Current offerings include $20 to Apex Legends, $20 to the eShop of your choice, or we have yet another PSVG ball cap in the grab bag. So if you want to get in on all the action and help support us, head on over to patreon.com/PSVG. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of PSVG Prime. It is I, your recovering, very tired host, Kevin Austin. And with me this week is my bae, Mr. Lucas Rose.
Hey, I'm your bae.
Hey. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm getting back to normal, I guess, which we'll talk a little bit about. So we had Extra Life, which we'll get into with what you've been playing. But after that, I had some unfortunate news in the family. We had a death in the family, so we're dealing with all that stuff. So it was a long week last week. Literally the day after I came back from Extra Life, which actually was like a day earlier than I was supposed to. We were dealing with this. And my wife's grandmother just passed on Friday, I think. Sorry, it's all a blur because literally it's been a week of just the days have been running into each other.
I'd imagine.
The wake is on Tuesday, and then the funeral's on Wednesday. So we're still not done yet, as it kind of just continues on. So it's been very tiring. So I'm trying to get back to normal, some semblance of day and night and what day of the week it is. Like I thought all day today was Saturday, not Sunday, and I was like, oh shoot, we have to record a show and I have to edit it by the next morning. All right, let's go.
Yeah. I felt bad when I picked, you said Saturday or Sunday, and I'm like, Sunday works better. But no,
it's totally fine. It's totally fine. I said to my wife, because actually, so like I have a Disney trip coming up, so we hit that 30-day out point, which means you can start booking your fast passes for rides.
Ooh.
But they only let you do each day. So like 2 days ago was 30 days from our first day there. So I had to wake up 7 o'clock in the morning. This is early. You can set it up, get all my fast passes for that day before they're all gone or before all the good rides are gone. And then I have to do it every single day going forward. So I've been up every day at like 6:30 anyway, even if I don't have to be for like work to get ready to grab the fast passes. And tomorrow I don't have to. So now I'm like, do I just grin and bear it and edit tonight? Or do I wake up tomorrow as I normally would, but I don't have to because it's a holiday and I don't need to wake up for fast passes and edit the show. So I still don't know what I'm going to do yet. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's it.
Man. You're living the fast life, dude.
Yeah. How's the sickness at your house?
I'm knock on wood. I think we're okay. You know,
that's good.
Nobody got whatever it was my son got, and we kept everyone, barricaded away. He was, off in his own little corner in a little quarantine. Thank you. In his little plastic bubble. Lots of hand sanitizer, and yeah, I was not gonna get that. I felt like I've been sick for like the last month, basically. So the last thing I wanted was a stomach bug. My poor son. He's never thrown up in his life, and he just woke up one night and was like everywhere, and you just feel so bad. But I don't want to sound too selfish, but so he ended up staying home the entire week.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know me that well, the weekdays are kind of my weekend because
yeah, right.
I'm a stay-at-home dad. So I see everyone off and then I stay home with the baby. So getting gaming done during that time did not happen, at my usual time. So it was strictly, how late do you want to stay up tonight to be able to do the things you like? So I'm looking forward to tomorrow where things will go back to normal. Nobody's sick, and I get a little bit of me time. I need my me time.
They have work tomorrow, even though it's a holiday?
Yeah, I think my wife does. Yeah. What's the holiday?
Veterans Day.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Most places don't.
My son doesn't have work tomorrow. He has school. This isn't The Sims. You can't just put everybody to work.
Child labor laws.
That's right.
Darn it. All right, so let's do what we're supposed to do. I believe we're supposed to talk about video games. The thing is what we do here. It's hard to tell sometimes, really.
Yeah.
But yeah. Why don't you go first? Because my story may go on for a bit. Because I played a lot of games, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, a little update on Link's Awakening. So I don't know if I said this before when I talked about it last time, but I'm kind of a moron because I didn't know that you could call multiple times to the phone in Link's Awakening, and he'll tell you different stuff. Aurora or whatever, terrible name to say. Aurora, I don't know. And so when I realized that, I was like, oh, now I know what to do, because originally he was just saying, find the 5 gold leaves, you dummy.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do this. So once I got past that little hurdle, because I will admit I've had a couple of times where I'm just like, I'm not having a lot of fun in this dungeon where I have to keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
I found out later there's a way that you can teleport back to the entrance of a dungeon whenever you want to. And I was like, oh, that would have been helpful when I have to constantly go back and forth. I'm not a huge fan of backtracking anyways.
No.
So there's a little bit of it in this game if you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, once I got past that part, I've actually been doing some pretty smooth sailing from there and making some pretty good progress. So it's due back at the library pretty soon, and I foresee myself finishing it this week.
That's cool.
Point, so.
I've been playing it too a little bit. Just kind of in bed while wife's watching like TV or whatever. I'm just kind of like laying there. So I've been playing a little bit too. I'm past that point when you talk about the leaves. Like I'm past that dungeon. I think I'm on the next dungeon after that.
The Captain's Maw.
Yes, or I might have beaten that one. Where I'm either on that one or I've beaten that one, but that's about where I am right now too. So
you're like right behind me.
Nice. We're lockstep on this whole journey through Link's Awakening.
Basically, I have, how many empty inventory spots do you have? I think I have 3 or 4.
I think I have 3 or 4 too. Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't get an item that apparently you can have already, and that would have made my life a little bit simpler. Boomerang.
Yeah, I don't have boomerang either.
Okay, that doesn't make me feel bad. At this point, I'm like, I just need to beat this, so I can't get all the secret seashells and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned with that either. So,
yeah, I'm enjoying it though. Don't get me wrong. It's just probably not my top 3 Zelda games. Maybe not even my top 5. I don't know. Have I played 5 Zelda games? Don't tell anyone. We'll stay on the Nintendo Switch train, and I will say that I have Astral Chain, also from the library, came in, and I have a bad tendency to just start new games without finishing the other one. So I was like, oh, I should probably beat Link's Awakening first. So I did play a little bit of that to try to get that done, and then I was like, but I kind of want to play at least an hour of this. So I played some Astral Chain, just a little bit, and that game is very anime-esque.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you played this, Kevin?
No, I have not yet.
It has an opening theme like an anime would. So you know how you like get to see a little bit of the show, and then there's some weird rock song that plays, and it's always like 80% Japanese, but then there's like 20% English rapping for some reason. Yeah, so that's kind of what was going on here. And this song was particularly strange. If you don't end up playing it, you should at least find the opening to Astral Chain, because it is like, it sounds like it's sped up almost. It's very strange.
Oh, like artificial. Okay, yeah.
So I've only played like the first case, or at least the first, whatever you would call case 0, case.
Yeah, I think they're case
prologue, and so far, I will say the writing is not great. It's okay. It's just very stilted and I don't know, just really anime-esque again. But even anime like can have good writing. It's just I don't know. I think of it kind of as in that stereotypical anime trope. And I also kind of feel like I'm just hitting the right trigger a lot. So this game has a weird control scheme where the right trigger is the attack button.
Okay.
And then you have your Astral Chain, but you don't really tell it to do anything. You can tell it to come, you can pull it back or send it out. But I feel like I'm just walking around and smashing the right trigger a lot. Like
interesting.
No other buttons, no combos that I know of yet. I'm assuming that probably changes the more that you play and the more you unlock stuff. But so far, it feels a little bit, well, I'd say button mashy, one button mashy.
Single button masher.
Yeah, single button masher. So I don't know. I guess I don't know what I was expecting, but here's my thought process. My son randomly was interested in Transformers Devastation, the other one of the other games that Platinum made. And so I played a little bit of that because he was interested in it. And the combat in that feels great. Like, I don't know what it is, but like the way they transform into cars and you can incorporate that into the attacks and everything, it feels really good. But it also feels like you're doing different stuff. You're pressing different buttons. You're using guns sometimes. I don't know. I really enjoyed that combat system. Here, again, the one button, it was kind of a letdown. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe that opens up or I'm playing it wrong. That could very well be a possibility.
Sure.
I don't want to base my entire impressions off just one single play, playing that one case so far. But I'm interested. I'm intrigued. But so far, I'm not seeing a lot of meat on the bone. I'll give it a little bit more time. I know Tom Servo really likes it and is, advocates for the game a lot. So we'll see. We'll see.
Now, did you got Daemon X Machina too, or did you just return that? You just return that like when you got it?
I played it. I played that game for way more than I probably had any right to do. That game, I was interested in it, but then there was like no point to anything. It felt like.
Oh, okay.
There were always these like cutscenes that almost look like a story, a visual novel. And so there would be these back and forths between unanimated character portraits, just a lot of text to read. Thankfully, they were voiced. But it just didn't feel like there was an overarching story of why I was doing any of this stuff. It just kept introducing more and more people in groups. There was some weird, like everybody had to be in a group and it was like heavens, angels, and
Team Rocket.
Yeah, other cool sounding names that are ridiculous and mean nothing. So after a while, I was just like, I don't even know why I'm playing this game. There's nothing here that's pulling me to play. The gameplay certainly didn't. So yeah, I don't know. That one was tough. And I gave it about a week and then I ended up returning it because it sat around and I was like, somebody else probably really would like to play this game. So I returned it. So lastly, my last two games I actually played with Josh from PSVG, Bored with Video Games. He texted me one night and was like, "Hey dude, you want to play? Hey dude, you want to play some video games?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, let's do it, dude. It's been forever." There's a lot of dudes. Hey man, dude, brosif. So we played two different games. Well, technically three, but I'm not going to talk about Tannenberg. That was a terrible experience. I had to let Call of Duty World War II download. So we played Scythe, which is a board game.
Oh yeah.
We had been meaning to play for quite some time. And we promised each other, oh yeah, we're going to play through the tutorial. So when we play each other, we know what we're doing. He played through it while inebriated and I did not play through it at all. So I was like, you know what? Sometimes the best way to learn something is just jump right in. we learned that lesson on Twilight Struggle, where it was just a bunch of numbers and regions. Yep. We're like, what can I click on? So that was kind of history repeating itself here.
Now he didn't play the board game Scythe at any point.
He had played it, but he didn't know how
much he remembered
is between. Yeah, how much he remembered from playing it, what the differences of the game, the PC game would be. So I knew he had played it, but so I figured he at least had a basic understanding of what the objective was.
Right.
So as we played, I did learn, okay, like you need to mine resources like ore to buy mechs, which help you cross the water. And then you also need other resources to, like there were 4 different, like values that you had to collect: resources, loyalty or something like that, or heroics, and 2 other ones I can't remember. And I thought, okay, I just need to have like the most of these categories.
Sure.
No, not really. What ended up happening was I made the game, and then I set it for 15-minute turns because it could go from 15 to like an hour and 30 minutes. But it's like a chess clock where you only have so much time collectively.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was like you had 15 minutes in one turn, because you can play it hot seat style where you just go back and forth and jump in the game. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want to play a super long game. And so at the end of that 15 minutes, I just got kicked out of the game. There was no like end of the game or anything for me. It was just like, no, you're booted out, which was weird because I created the game. So
yeah.
But yeah, I had fun. It was just I didn't know what I was doing until it was too late, and he was clearly going to kick my butt anyway. So it was interesting, but I don't know what really was happening the whole time. So we switched from that to Call of Duty World War II Zombies. I had asked him, I was like, you know what? This was in Humble Bundle. I've never played a Call of Duty Zombies game. I knew it was, or mode, I guess. I knew it was really huge when it first came out. And so he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So we boot this up, and first of all, he got a little menu before he booted it that said, do you want to play zombies or multiplayer? Because they've broken it all up, and now single player is its own download and multiplayer is its own download. And I was like, well, I'm not seeing that, so I'm just going to boot into the game. So I had to wait probably 5 minutes to get into the menu to click zombies, and then it closed and reloaded World War II Zombies, and it took another like 3 minutes. And I'm just like, this is way too much time. What is going on here? I hate when you have to load forever just to get a menu. That's ridiculous. So we play, and I had an inkling of what you were supposed to do, but Josh was telling me that the modes were kind of different. Sometimes it was just waves of enemies. Sometimes you had to have objectives and do things. Yeah. And so this ended up kind of being a little bit of both. And we got into the game, and I'm just like, man, this sure does look like really terrible. What is going on? So I look at my graphics settings, like, okay, everything looks normal. I'm not running out on like ultra gonna chug at 5 frames per second mode, but I'm also not, the lowest ever. So
yeah,
what's going on here? And I look it up later because I couldn't really see anything most of the time. It was really weird. So I look up what was going on later, and it turns out with my specific video card, the textures on the ground and certain other textures in this specific map on zombie mode show up as black. Not like the color black, but like absence of light, so you can't see type black. And there's no way to fix it. Apparently it hasn't been I have a Radeon Vega 54 graphics card, and it's the 54s and the 64s that are messed up. And I don't know why that is or anything, but as far as I know, there's no fix. So that was
bizarre.
Cool. It was
your one card on that one map and this one texture. Like, how did that even happen? Like, how?
I have no clue.
That's weird.
I can understand if it's, that's the last thing you would patch, I guess, but come on, this has been out for a while now.
Right.
How is it not fixed? So it's not game breaking, but it really is hard to see anything. And I felt like an idiot because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what my guys, I picked the support class, and I didn't know what any of my stuff did, and I just was like asking like, where are the guns? Where do I find everything? Where are you? Why can't I? Felt like a total noob, dude. You can't be a noob in Call of Duty. Come on.
It's true.
Pro gamer. So it was a lot of fun, and Josh was very understanding of my stupidity and not knowing anything. And then when I told him that, he was like, oh, that would be a problem. So
I thought you just sucked.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I did suck. I can't blame it all on the not being able to see anything. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll do it again. And it seemed to work better than like Vermintide. We played that as 2 players, but that more like it needs to be 4 players. This was pretty good. And, it's got that unlocking, leveling up thing where you just feel like you need to come back and play more. So I'm sure we will. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I played.
Cool. All right. So I'll jump in. And as I mentioned on last week's show, when we pretended that we recorded right after Extra Life, which we did not, I actually did attend Extra Life since the last show. And I've kind of not talked about it a lot on Discord, so I was kind of saving it for the podcast. It was quite the experience. I feel like Josh should have just been on this episode at this point, because we're going to talk a lot about Josh. You did, and then I'm about to too. So Josh came with me for Extra Life, so it was closer to his house than it was my house. So I drove up to his house. I was there at his house for 4 a.m.
Ooh.
Yep. And then we drove up to Rome, New York to be there around 9 o'clock, because the official start time for Extra Life was supposed to be 10. So we figured an hour would be a good amount of time for us to set up and be ready to go.
Yeah.
So we hit the road. It actually wasn't a bad drive at all. Other than just being kind of tired. Like, it was mainly highway the whole way there. No traffic. It was a Saturday morning, so there wasn't a whole lot going on. But it was a nice drive. We got there in plenty of time. Walk in, and right away we find the registration, kind of just check in, kind of daily hands, like a code of conduct, which is basically, as they summed it up, was don't be a jerk. Really, is kind of all it was. Like, nice. Certain areas were off limits of the building, because it was at a community college.
Could you live stream in the bathrooms?
Oh, I didn't ask. That was a huge miss. I probably could have.
Okay, I was gonna say, I hope you didn't, because
darn,
they'll come down on you on that for that one.
Well, it's not TwitchCon or anything like that, but so they basically don't be a jerk. It was at a college campus. It was like a student union building, so it was like this big venue. Like, it was a pretty big area for all of us, and they were just like, hey, you just in the middle of the night, don't go past this sign, like, kind of deal. Like, they had it blocked off a little bit in the building, because it was part of like a huge building overall. But we had access to one part of the building which had an area for people that want to take naps. They could take naps. Had bathrooms that were basically just for us during this period of time. And then the big venue we were in, which we walked in, there wasn't a ton of people there, maybe like 15, 20 people when we got there. But right away was able to zoom in and recognize Sean Capri, like, right away.
Based on what wearing, I don't feel like that was too difficult.
Exactly. So it was good seeing him. He was the first person we greeted when we were there. He was pumped to see us, and I licked Donnie's skateboard that was signed by Phil Spencer, just so that he can always remember. As it's hanging up on his wall now, he's like, man, I got this skateboard. It's signed by Phil Spencer. Then he has to immediately think afterwards that Kevin also licked this. So
he's gonna he needs Sharpie and just like circle the affected area.
the affected spot. It's like a black mark, like Venom licked it,
Yep.
But it was good. We met him, met Lee Navarro, who is the person who kind of was coordinating the whole event, which I will tell you, these guys here in Phoenix Overdrive, which was the team we signed up for, they are like legit. I think they've been doing it for 7 years is what they said, or this was the 7th year. And every year it's just gotten bigger and bigger. Like, it started off with like him in his house with some friends, and then it was done actually at the Children's Hospital for a little bit.
Ooh.
And this was the first year he moved it off site to this location. And I don't know what Lee does professionally, like for a living, but in my head, he has to be some sort of engineer or something to work with computers like all the time. He actually mapped out who was going to be there. So there was supposed to be 60 people in attendance playing games. Okay. He knew what equipment they were coming in with. He knew whether or not they were actually going to be streaming, because not everybody streamed. Some people just come in and played.
Okay.
And he mapped out every table in this building to be like, okay, this table, this seat, this row, this is you. And everything was mapped to different electrical outlets, which were running off different circuits, different Ethernet switches. Like, he planned for the bandwidth for everything. It was quite insane, and to see the majority of the people there were PC gamers. So I saw some like ridiculous rigs, including his, which was like his tower, dude, was like the height of probably your computer desk, like that tall.
Oh God!
And it was 1.5 to 2 foot wide. And I mean, the thing lit up like it was a freaking Christmas tree. Like it was insane to see like some of these people rigs that they had.
Heavy.
Like, made us feel like way out of our league because like Sean Capri and you know myself, Josh, the people that came from like our indie podcast group type thing, like we're all just playing on consoles. Like we're like the noobs here. Like we're used to being on camera or recording stuff maybe more than some of these other folks, but it's like we don't game at the level that they do with the equipment that they do. So people came in, Joseph Moran, Mr. Babbitt came in. We met Skinny Matt, which was awesome to meet him in person.
Nice.
He did bring his whole family in tow, which was cool. We got to meet his son Preston and then the fam. So it was cool. Nintendo Guru dropped in later on. He unfortunately had his work laid off somebody, so then he ended up having to work on that day when he wasn't supposed to. So he worked all day and then drove from New Jersey to New York that night. Hung out for a couple hours, then went to the hotel, went to sleep, came back the next morning. It really all he ended up doing, he did play games for a bit, but he literally just ended up being a chauffeur for Sean Capri because he took him back to his house after. Giggity. To record some stuff before Sean headed back up to Canada. But, Garrett Bland was there. Jams Gams was there. So Mr. Babbitt was there. So it was really cool to see these guys that, like, we knew via, Skype and podcasts like that, but, like, it was weird meeting them in person because it was, like, instant, like, oh, I know you. Like, it didn't feel weird at all. It didn't feel awkward. I was just like, oh yeah, I know you. Like, and it was just natural. It felt really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. We started a little bit later. We were supposed to start at 10 a.m. I think by the time they got everything wired, because some people showed up late and they wanted to make sure we had a tiered system of turning the power on, so we didn't blow things by turning everything on at once.
Yeah.
Like I said, they were super organized. So there were a couple of hiccups where like too many people were in the same outlets, or somebody put their stuff in the wrong location. So sometimes we had some issues the first couple hours where stuff was blowing, but he's always really quick to address it, get it fixed like within 5-10 minutes. So after the first couple hours, it was smooth sailing all along. They were super awesome. They had lunch catered by a local like a sandwich shop, catered lunch. A pizzeria dropped off pizzas at night. Like they were treating us like good. Like, so we didn't have to get up. Like it was incredible. And seeing all these people doing it, there were people playing board games that came in. It was all over the place. Those board games, video games, PC games, like everything was going on. It was really cool to see. The one thing I will say that I'm a little, I don't want to say disappointed, because this is all for charity, so anything anybody did was fantastic. But as we hit like 12, 15 hours, I was looking around the room and there were a lot of people not there anymore. Like a lot of people just packed up, left. People were napping, which once again, you're doing it all for charity, so it really doesn't matter. But I just took it serious. Probably too serious, which is, maybe a fault against my own, but, we hit that 2 a.m. period, and this was during daylight savings time. So we saw 2 a.m. twice.
Oh boy. Yeah.
That's when it really hit me. I was feeling really tired, and I was like starting to kind of like nod off a little bit as I'm playing. So I was like, man, I got to switch my games up to stay awake. Josh, at one point, he ended up taking like only like a half hour nap, but he like lay down for an hour because he just didn't feel good. But we found out afterwards because we probably could have used another meal. Like we had dinner, but dinner was like, I don't even remember what time. It was like 6 or 8 o'clock at night. And then we had nothing to eat after that. So we're going till 10 a.m. the next day. Like you really could just use a little something to keep you going. We were just pounding G Fuel and like candy at that point. So it was not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll tell you, it's like I stuck it out the whole time. Sean Capri stuck it out for almost the whole time too. Like he said, he got up and handed over his stream to like Nintendo Guru for like an hour to kind of stretch his legs and stuff like that. But I mean, there were a lot of people that just like napped or slept for like 4 to 6 hours. I'm like, damn, I kind of just took it gung ho and went along. But I will say it was incredibly heartwarming to do. It is not as easy as people would have you think it is to do, which I think some people would say doing anything for that long would not be easy. And they understand it. But I had a lot of people, like, as I was getting ready or telling them what I was doing, saying, oh, have fun. And I'm like, it is going to be fun, but after a while, it's not going to be fun anymore. It's more like, it's like running a marathon, just mentally versus physically. I would kind of put it to that.
I can see that.
Josh and I kind of both committed that we're going to keep doing this, I think. It was very cool to do. We'll probably fundraise together instead of trying to do it separately going forward, just kind of have like a single unified effort. But it was really cool to meet people, and like Skinny Matt even said he wants to make that instead of doing like the indie podcast meetups, like just do it for Extra Life, and then bundle it together with things and be able to see people, because it's really cool seeing those folks.
Bundle.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I had planned out a schedule which I stuck to pretty well for the beginning of the night, but as it got late, I made some mistakes that I'll take with me next year. Was I kicked it off with strong with like Apex, Fortnite, games to get people going, that streamers, people like watching those games, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought personally, having never done this before, or even game for that long ever in my life, was thinking, okay, in the middle of the night when it's like quieter and you're gonna chill, I'll play games like The Outer Worlds or Control, which are not fast-paced action, nonstop games.
Right.
Huge mistake, because I was just losing focus completely.
Sleep.
So I ended up playing Fortnite a lot more than I ever wanted to. And gosh darn it, if it doesn't have me hooked again, it's bad.
Oh no.
But the problem was, like, so I only plan to play it for a little bit. And then when Skinny Matt finally got settled in, he's like, hey, you want to play Fortnite? So we do, you could do cross-play on Fortnite. So I jumped in. I was like, yep, Josh refused to play Fortnite. So he's like, no.
Good man.
But I was playing with Skinny Matt, and then Joseph Brand, Mr. Badbit was like, oh, I'll play with you guys too. So we all linked up in a party. First match we played together, Victory Royale. Boom, done. I'm like, all right, let's do it again. Hop in. Boom, Victory Royale. 2 games back to back. I'm like, all right, we have to go for 3 at this point, right? Like,
yeah,
let's go for it. And we were getting like 8 kills, 10 kills, like each round, like me, just myself. So, and then Joseph Moran was killing a bunch, if not just as much, if not more than me. Skinny Matt, as he said, he was a strong support character for us. But he had says, like, man, this is my first Victory Royale. That first one, the first game we played. He's like, this game's a whole lot more fun when you can actually win. And I was like, yes, man, that's the point. That's what drives you.
Yes.
So we played a couple matches, and I think we had a run, Lucas, in like an hour and a half where we had like 6 or 7 wins, which that's not easy to do, even for like people who are experienced in Fortnite. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It got to the point that we, instead of playing with the 3 of us and a random person, somebody else that was playing on PC sitting in front of us actually was like, hey, can I jump in the party with you guys? We're like, sure, let's go. So we joined our party and we played together, got a couple more wins like that. So yeah, those were the games I should have been playing in the middle of the night, because they just held my focus better. And I should play those story-driven games earlier in the night, basically, or in the day, really. But yeah, it was really, really cool to meet everybody. It really, it was good. It was for a good cause, of course, so that was great. And I think next year we're gonna go a little more aggressive with it. I'll have some prizes lined up for people, or make donations, stuff like that. Make it a big effort and kind of just drive it home. But yeah, it was really, really, really cool to do. I think I'll definitely be doing it again and just take what I've learned this time and do it. Because honestly, and if you listen to any Sean Capri shows, he's kind of said the same thing. The worst part of the entire event was when it was just time to go. Like, you just kind of like, man, I felt like we just got there. Like, meeting Sean Capri in person, meeting Mr. Badbit and Nintendo Guru, and kind of just talking with those guys. Like, I didn't get a chance to really talk to them other than like just play games with them. We did World War Z together. We did stuff like that. Played Apex. But yeah, it was like really the only person I talked to regularly was Josh. Number 1, because he was right next to me. Number 2, we had to drive up, drive home, and all that stuff. But when it was time to go, it was just kind of like, well, we got to pack the stuff up and see ya. Like, go to the hotel, try and get some sleep. Yeah. Which that was a funny side story, to not drag this out too long. Was Josh emailed the hotel earlier saying, hey, can we have an early check-in? Because we're going to be done at like 10 a.m. Check-in's not till 3. Mm-hmm. And he explained, like, this is what we're doing. It's for a charity event. We're going to be up 25 hours straight. We really just want to go to sleep, kind of deal. So the hotel, eventually responded back in the middle of the night saying, like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. We should have a room ready for you by 9 a.m. Come on in, have some of the complimentary breakfast, and then come get your room and go to sleep. So we're like, awesome. We don't need to pay for breakfast. And there's another meal covered. So Josh and I were like, all right, great. So we get to the hotel, and the woman at the desk is like, yeah, the people that answer those stuff online don't actually know. We don't have any rooms. We were sold out last night, and the housekeeping isn't even here to clean the rooms yet. So we don't have anything for you. She's like, I might be able to get you in for 1. And Josh and I are like, ooh, okay. We played video games for 25 hours straight, but we were up like 6 hours before that. So we're approaching, day and a half, close to 2 days of being awake. We're like, we really need to sleep. So she's like, well, have some complimentary breakfast anyway, and we'll see what we can do. So Josh and I was like, all right, well, we got to eat something. So we sit down and eat. And by the way, the area we were in, there was nothing there. Like, it was like Amish country. Like
for food or anything.
Yeah,
else?
there's nothing there at all, and anything that was there was closed on Sundays. So we're like, oh my god! So like we really had to eat there, otherwise there was nothing within miles and miles and miles. And at that point, Josh probably shouldn't have been driving anymore. So but we sat down, we're eating breakfast, and a woman runs up. She's like, "Are you the guys that were at the charity event all night?" We're like, "Yeah." She's like, "All right, I'm the manager." She's like, "I'm sorry, the girl at the front desk didn't know I told her we'd have a room for you guys. Give me 5 minutes." And like she went and cleaned the room herself.
Whoa.
And I think it's because Josh was asking like the online thing, like how much is it to cancel the room? Because we're like, well, at this point, if it's going to be forever, we might as well just try and go home. Like,
yeah,
even though we shouldn't be driving, we might as well just go home because it's a 4.5 hour drive, so whatever. But she gets us a room, so we get in the room. Both go to sleep.
Now, did you snuggle?
Well, naturally, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we played a board game first, and then we snuggled.
I was worried you didn't snuggle.
Well, we had 2 beds, but we figured why use 2? We only need 1.
You push them together and make mega bed.
Ooh, but then we wouldn't be close. So we go to sleep, and 2.5 hours later, I wake up. So I start looking at my phone. I'm like, because in my head, like we blacked out the hotel room.
It's got to be like 10 hours later.
I didn't think it was that late, but I figured it'd be at least 6 or 7 because I set an alarm for 8:30 because the plan was like, all right, let's go to sleep. We'll set an alarm. Worst case scenario from the Patriots game comes on, and we'll wake up, watch the game, and go back to sleep, for the night. And we'll leave the next day. We both woke up after 2.5 hours, and we're like, all right, what do we do now? There's nothing to do in this area. We're just gonna sit in the hotel room, watch TV all day. And he's like, I don't know. So eventually we both looked at each other like, you want to just go home? So we did. We basically got a hotel room to nap and we went home.
That's so weird.
It is. So yeah. So basically we're driving home and we were looking for something to eat because at that point we were hungry again. And once again, we couldn't find anything. And there was nothing like immediately off the highway. So we ended up getting like 10 minutes away from Josh's house and eating there. We went to a pub, had a beer, and then took off. So yeah, it was kind of funny.
That's great.
Sorry, my daughter's texting me, but yeah, it was a great time, and yeah, it was good. So I'm definitely doing it again. But the only game I want to talk about that I did play that I want to talk about is Outer Worlds. Have you played any more of it, or played it yet?
I have played it, but I haven't played any more of it. I'm going to this week because again, sick kid.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah.
So I won't give away any story stuff, and I think Nathan wants to do a review cast with me. He's not very far either. I know he just did Extra Life, so he's probably gamed out for a bit. So hopefully the 3 of us can maybe do it.
Ooh.
I'm still absolutely loving this game. I'm not sick of it. I'm doing every freaking side quest. I'm doing every side mission, every different storyline. I love it. This game is my game too. It's Fallout, but much better. I'll just leave it at that. So if you were into story based Western RPGs, and you have Xbox Game Pass, just play it.
Outer Worlds. PC Game Pass.
Or PC Game Pass, Game Pass Ultimate, either one.
It didn't seem to be too, it looks great, but it wasn't really that demanding on my hardware. I haven't tried to play it in 4K, but yeah, I thought it was very accessible.
Yeah, it looks good. The writing's great. The guns feel good. Yeah, it's just everything I wanted in a game.
I have one question that usually shows up in these games, but this is not Bethesda. They out Bethesda. So my 100%. My question to you is, did they get like 6 people to do the voices of NPCs and you just notice it right away? Or did they actually make sure everyone sounds a little bit different?
Well, our friend Sean Baichu voiced multiple people in this game, and he couldn't tell us when we talked to him.
Oh,
so
but do they sound the same?
I'm sure they sound different, knowing the professional he is. No, I haven't really gotten to a point yet where I'm hearing people say like, "Oh my god, they sound the same." Like, there's your generic people in the town that you can air quotes talk to, but they just say one line, like "beer," something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of those are like the same people, but any character you actually have dialogue with and interactions with, they all seem to be distinctly different type of accents, different ways of speaking. Some sound more educated, some sound lesser, so there's all different walks of life you encounter, which also ties into the story. So yeah, it doesn't feel like I'm getting the same people per se. No,
that's nice. I think Bethesda,
even if they are played by the same people.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they tend to get people who sound very specific, and then you can pick them out immediately, even if they try to change it up a little bit. You need those like average sounding people to do the NPCs so you don't get used to hearing them.
Yep.
Good to hear.
So that's it. I'm not gonna give away any spoilers, but I highly recommend it. I think I'm done with 2-3 different areas, I want to say, but you do some back and forth, much like a Mass Effect, where you might travel back to the same planet and do more things here and there. So there is some of that there, but I've spent substantial amounts of time on 3 different locations so far. I could say that. Nice. Yeah.
Man of the stars.
There's still a lot more to go, it looks like. It looks like there's something like 10 or 12 planets you can visit.
Oh, wow.
At least from the map. I'm not sure if you can visit them all, but there's like 12 planets that are all named, so I'm thinking you could visit them all. But yeah, it's a big game. It's a big game. So I think those reviewers that talk about being like 40 hours, maybe, but I think you really have to mainline the main missions, because I can't see it being 40 hours. I probably put at least 20 in already myself, and I don't feel like I'm halfway through. So I feel like I'm still early on in what's going on. So yeah, great game. Can't recommend it enough. But that's enough for me. So while we hear from some of you, it's time to check out the messages. All right.
Message for you, sir.
First question, which is actually multiple questions, is from our basically third person on the show tonight, Josh. Multiple questions. Number 1, why aren't we playing Pummel Party right now? Because we're recording a show right now, Josh. That's kind of...
Gosh, try to be a little bit more professional.
Yeah, okay. And when we did want to play, you decided to run out of power. Like, who just let their power run out?
That's how that works. We have priorities. Okay,
we have a Pummel Party.
Work to do. Not pummel. It's not time to party our pummels and pummel our poppers.
Sure, that too.
Totally.
Second question: why is my child a nightmare right now? Well, because you ran out of power. I don't know why you let your power run out.
That's true.
Yeah.
Here's the secret: all children have a very dark side deep within them, and every once in a while, you will see that dark side. It will come out, and our job is to tame them and say, "No, push that dark side deep down inside of you. Put a lid on that little bottle, and never let it come out again."
Well, I mean, that worked for you because you have a boy, and men are just supposed to suppress all their feelings and not ever show them. So
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
That works.
Talk like that to me again, and I will kill you.
Okay. What would the world be like without butts?
We wouldn't have any
butts. I don't know if it's hashtag butts or if it's just actual without butts. Yeah, because
if it was actual butts, we wouldn't have chairs, and cars would look hilarious. Because, like, how do you drive a car standing up?
Like the Flintstones?
Well, they're even sitting down.
Yeah, which I don't know how that works. You can't get very good traction if you're sitting down and pushing your legs.
It's like those cars that they make for kids, and you sit down and you're like, oh, this is a pedal, but
oh yeah,
no, it's just you just do it with your feet. That's
the little Tykes cars.
Yeah, it's so disappointing.
I mean,
if it was hashtag butts, then I would have a lot less interesting things to look at on Twitter.
Fair enough. And lastly, where is Cody right now?
He's down here with me as he always is. He's the world's loudest dog, and for some reason I have him in the same room with me when I podcast. He had a tough day. We were gone most of the day, so he deserves a little R&R.
Fair enough. I'm gonna save Donnie's question because he sent in a good one, but I feel like we need more time to talk about it.
Yeah, I read a little bit about it, and then I started looking at the news.
Yeah,
that it was related to, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, I could give an offhanded, not knowing what I'm talking about."
Yeah,
thing, but
I think we're gonna bench this one. He's supposed to be on the show with us next week, so we actually will get his side of it as well.
Ooh,
so I think it's worth talking about. I think it's a good discussion there, so we'll save that one. Spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Servo, what are a few things to consider when buying any gaming controller, and what controller do you like, and why?
I know which controller I like.
What controller do you like?
It's called the Power Glove. I don't know if you guys no. I like the Xbox One controller /360. I mean, really, it's about the same thing.
Right.
The D-pad is a lot better than the 360. But each controller has something over the others. I prefer the D-pad on the Nintendo Switch controller, Pro controller, for instance. However, if I'm going to talk about all-around features, the biggest problem and the reason why that Nintendo Switch controller isn't my number one, because I do like that controller a lot, actually. the triggers. It's got the clicky triggers, man. And as somebody who plays racing games,
oh, it's annoying.
It doesn't work. Racing isn't you're either accelerating or not accelerating game. But I will say that they are nicer for first-person shooters. I played with the Xbox controllers for a long time, and having that instant click as opposed to one of those long trigger pulls, it was kind of nice. What the things I consider when I'm buying the controllers, the thumbsticks have to work right. I don't even care what they feel like, really, but when I bought that cheap Pro controller knockoff, and I found out that as I was rotating the sticks around, the tension as you go around in a circle feels different in certain areas. Yeah. And trying to play a first-person shooter with that controller was just impossible. It was just horrible. So that was like the biggest thing. I can look past different feeling buttons like face buttons and that type of thing. And then the other things obviously are the size and the feel. Because if there's like, how cheap some of the cheap controllers will have plastic that will like dig into your fingers and you're just like, what in the world? And then weight as well. If it's too light, it doesn't feel right. It almost feels like you can't manipulate the controls as well because it's shifting around in your hand in a weird way. So it can't be too light either.
That makes sense. I'm with you on the materials for sure. Because when you get a lot of the knockoff ones, some of them get really cheap. And you mentioned too the size. Some of them get really small for some reason. Like you'll get like a knockoff controller, and for some reason it's like half the size of the original controller. It's like, why?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is this for a child? But my favorite controller right now is the Xbox Elite controller. The thing is a beast. It just feels so good. It's the heaviest controller. Well, yeah, no, you're 100% right, and that's the thing. I can say this because I didn't buy mine. Mine was a gift from my cousin, who did it as a favor. I helped her out of a situation, and they bought that as a thank you because I wouldn't accept any money. And I absolutely love it. Like, it just feels so hefty. The customizable stuff is cool. And I did use it for a little bit. I'm actually going to try and go back to it with a couple different games and see if I can make it work with the paddles that are underneath. But it has the ability, like you said, I can switch my triggers to be clicky or not clicky. Nice. You have that capability on there. So depending on the game, it makes sense. So it has the heft to it. But ultimately, like, if I'm looking to buy one, like, you look at the materials, I'm looking at the size of the device, and normally for me, I'm looking at cost. I don't necessarily get the cheapest controller out there, but I also realize that I can probably get a controller that's almost as good as these Pro controllers without spending that kind of money, and give up certain things and be fine with it. Like, if I get a controller that doesn't have gyro, whoop-de-doo, I really don't care. Like, that's
how would you use motion controls though?
Spoilers, I don't. But things like that's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't need the unnecessary features that are in there that are nice to have for certain games but not essential. Then I'm cool with that. So I like a lot of the Power A products that they put out for Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
I have a wireless controller from there where it was like, yeah, it's not as good as the Pro controller, and you're right, the Pro controller for the Nintendo Switch is amazing, but I got this for $20. So it's like, well, I could get, multiples of these for the price of one Pro controller.
Right.
So I'm like, I can deal with it being a little bit lighter and, having to replace the batteries. I have rechargeable batteries in my house anyway, so it's not costing me I don't have to buy batteries all the time. So things like that, I'm able to supplement and make it be a good equivalent without spending that kind of premium price tag.
Well, and for a daily driver controller, you definitely want something like that. But then when you get to, hey, I need second and third and fourth players controllers, that's where Power A comes in, and then aesthetic comes in, because you're like, well, if I'm going to get these, then I might as well get something that looks cool. And, does the Elite controller have Bluetooth? Because that's a big thing on the Nintendo Pro controller that it has over the Xbox One controller that I have is Bluetooth.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think the new one does. The Elite 2 might.
Okay.
I don't think so, because I can use the controller like on my PC, but it has to be plugged in.
Yeah. Then
so I don't think it has Bluetooth. I think it just has that whatever wireless it uses for the Xbox console.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the new one does have that though.
Because that's not something I would have thought of recently, but man, the Pro controller I can hook up to my phone, hooks up to the Steam Link actually, which is surprising. Pretty much any Bluetooth accepting device. So that was really nice for me to find out. So that would be another thing I would look for going forward if I was buying more controllers. So
now you get me thinking if it has Bluetooth or not, because I've seen people use controllers with their phone, but I don't know if it's been the Elite. Nope, the Elite does not. Okay, it does not.
I think they came out with a revision of the Xbox One controller and now has Bluetooth.
Yep. Yeah, because the Elite controller was designed and built prior to Microsoft introducing Bluetooth onto the standard Xbox One controller. So yes, it does not, but the new one does, I believe. So
nice.
Good to know. All right. So thank you, Tom, for that. And then Dev writes in, what are your top 3 games right now for Game of the Year? And what else may enter the discussion by year's end? So I can go first if you need to think for a little bit.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So for me, I don't think there's any real surprise here for right now. This may not necessarily be my order for the top 3, but here are the 3 that would be definitely the top of my list. Number 1, Apex Legends came out early in the year, but it's been a great game overall. It's evolved and kind of grown, and I've absolutely loved it. Also, right now, The Outer Worlds. I don't think that surprises anybody. That's easily, most likely, my top candidate right there for Game of the Year. And then right now, I'm going to say Resident Evil 2, the remake, which was good.
You're stealing all mine. I was saying, yeah, that's okay though. I mean, yeah, The Outer Worlds definitely, just based off of what you're telling me, will for me also have that spot. I'm kind of like, man, what games did I play from 2019?
That's what I've been looking to. I had to look it up. I literally like, what games did I play that actually came out this year?
Resident Evil 2 was first to come to mind. Mortal Kombat 11 for me personally was just really great. A return to the series. Game of the Year though is probably not going to happen, but it could depending on how the other things work out. And then I don't know. I'm looking forward to playing Jedi Fallen Order. So if that turns out to be good, that could very easily dethrone Mortal Kombat 11 from the top 3.
Yeah, I think as far as ones that could interrupt that, same thing. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order may. I'm not. So here's the thing: is like I'm not as optimistic about that game as I was. Now it seems like the more I hear about it, the less excited I am for it. I'm hoping it proves me wrong. I really am. But other games that may pop in, Donnie thinks I'm really going to love Luigi's Mansion 3, which I really hope I do. I actually hope to have already had it, but I don't right now, and I have a backlog. So. I still think I'll play that this year, though, so that may dethrone one of them. Yeah, and then the last one, I don't know if I'll get to this year. I 100% want to play it. Death Stranding. That could also maybe end up on the list. That seems to be kind of like it's a game that's confusing people. It seems like overall it's a positive reaction. They're just not – it wasn't what anybody was expecting is all I'm hearing. I'm avoiding any spoilers or anything like that. So if I get to it this year, that could also be a candidate for that. But I definitely hope I can get to Luigi's Mansion and Death Stranding this year. And those may dethrone something.
Nice. I need to play more 2019 games.
I did do pretty good this year, but the problem is like I think, and this may be for later in the year, we'll talk about this kind of stuff, is like a lot of the games that I was looking forward to ends up kind of disappointing me. Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yeah.
Anthem.
Doom Eternal got pushed. So
Doom Eternal got pushed. Was Rage 2. These were all games that were like okay, but I wasn't super jazzed about them. Far Cry New Dawn, I did enjoy that, but I know a lot of people didn't enjoy that as much as Far Cry 5. But I still enjoyed it. But they're all games that were just like kind of like, okay, they're good games, but they weren't great games. So
yeah,
I think that it's been a year that we had a lot of hype for, and I think a lot of it fell a little flat, but we'll save that for later in the year before we get to the year-end discussion stuff. So Lucas, what do you say we check out some news of the week, sir?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Weird, Jinx.
Let us do it.
Let us do it.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite news outlet on the Citadel.
Why don't you go first? Pick something.
Anything. Okay, I don't feel like I talk about the PlayStation side of things very much, so I picked this out of the. Please don't autoplay. I picked this out of the news thing. Yeah, it did. Sony wants to move PS4 players to PS5 faster than in previous generations.
Okay.
With PS5, Sony aims for a scale and a pace that we've never delivered on before. So basically, the article goes on to talk about how who is talking here? Sorry, Jim Ryan. These are gamers who are networked and sticky and engaged and passionate about PlayStation to an extent that we've not seen in previous generations, he said. As we move towards the next generation in 2020, one of our tasks, probably our main task, is to take that community and transition it from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 and at a scale and pace that we've never delivered on before. Now, what I didn't understand and what this article says is I don't understand what that means. Like the article goes on to say, is it going to impact the cross-platform games that come out? Like, will there be a much more limited selection? Or does it just mean that they want to get the PS5 out fast so that they can get as many people to buy it during those seasons when people buy consoles? Like, what exactly does that mean? I don't know. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like releasing games cross-platform. I mean, you got to think right now, a lot of stuff is dried up. Microsoft doesn't really have anything on the plate coming out that they've announced for the Xbox One. Sony has The Last of Us 2 left and Ghost of Tsushima, if that's not pushed to next gen entirely. Mm-hmm. So they don't have much left going on in their own camps. Now, yes, third parties, Ubisoft, stuff like that, like they're making stuff for both platforms that may cross into that threshold of being on this gen and next gen. I think personally what they're trying to say here is that they're going to have a big launch lineup. Like I think what they're saying is they're gonna have stuff that's gonna make people say, I can't wait. There's way too much here. I need to get my hands on
They're
this.
really good at that.
Yeah. I think they may pull that trigger. And honestly, when you look at what the situation they're in up against Microsoft, who has that value add prospect, like, hey, we got Game Pass. You don't need to buy games. Like Sony needs to wield it sort of like we have the best exclusives. Like they need to pull that out. Just like, you get Game Pass, but you don't get Uncharted, you don't get God of War, you don't get Last of Us. I think they need to pull out all the stops, bring back Resistance. Like that's being teased big time right now. Like that's going to come back or be remastered. I think they have potentially a lot of stuff up their sleeve they didn't talk about. You remember they weren't at E3. They haven't really said much of anything.
True.
Like
that's
so they
true.
may come out like swinging with all sorts of titles to come at launch that'll just make gamers say, I can't wait to get a PS5.
Something in this article that I think actually reinforces what you're saying is that this Ryan guy was saying one thing that makes me particularly optimistic that what we're hearing from developers and publishers is the ease in which they're able to get code running on the PlayStation 5.
Yep.
It's way beyond any experience they've had on any other PlayStation platform. Of course, PlayStation 3 famous for how difficult it was to program games for it and everything. So yeah, I guess that does make sense. When I read this, I was like, I don't understand what the perspective here is, but yeah. I could see that for sure. So there you go.
Time will tell.
Set that money aside. Got to buy that PS5,
which will be $999. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Oh gosh, they better have learned their lesson. How about that? $600. Very affordable.
Very affordable. Just get another job. It's okay.
Oh gosh, it's true.
So Nintendo published this little weird game that came out. I felt I needed to talk a little bit about. I don't know if you saw it, Lucas. Called the Stretchers.
No, I have not.
Okay, so it wasn't really announced. I've never seen it before, but it was like kind of announced, and it's already available. And it's a co-op game where you and a friend load people onto an ambulance and take them to a hospital.
Oh,
but it looks wacky. It looks very much like Overcooked, where you have your gurney.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is looks like a great family game to make you scream at your relatives and stuff like that. But it comes from the same people that made Little Nightmares. And basically the residents of a town are just struck with dizziness and they start passing out, and you're tasked with grabbing the people, getting your stretcher through different obstacles.
Oh, and you got to drive there by the looks of things too.
Yep. And you got to dump them off. But it's funny because like in the trailer, you can pile up the stretcher with like 10 people, and you're like balancing them to the thing and dumping them in the thing. So
the ambulance just hit a tractor and then caught the guy that was on the tractor.
Yep.
That's amazing.
So it looks pretty fun. I have not played it yet. I haven't bought it yet, but this is something I think definitely on my radar that I will play. Not game of the year, but just something wacky and fun from Nintendo. That very much seems to be like, hey, if you like Overcooked, you're probably going to like this one. I think until we're waiting for that moving game, is it Moving Out, Moving On, or whatever, that looked exactly like Overcooked?
Yeah.
Moving furniture.
Yeah.
This might be a good filler until that game comes out as well, or until we get more Overcooked. Who knows?
Are we seeing a new genre of game emerging here?
Quite possibly.
It really feels like it.
I'm for it. They're fun.
I don't know what you call it though.
Co-op.
Frustrated.
I mean, it's almost like a return to couch co-op. Although, like, you could play Overcooked, online Overcooked 2. I'm wondering if this you can play. Probably not. I'm assuming. I don't think you can play this online.
Ooh, that would be rough.
Yeah, I think it'd be too rough to play online. So, yeah.
It looks fun though.
Yep. Yeah.
How much is it? 15? 20?
Let's see. Can I click on the eShop link? It's in the US now. Let's find out. Loading. It is loading.
Right. You can't buy it.
Buy digital. $20. So not bad.
That's not bad at all.
No, not bad at all.
Nice.
It is up to 2 players. Yeah, it does not have online. It's just TV mode, tabletop mode, handheld mode. So, yeah, up to 2 players, couch co-op. So, yeah, it's kind of like just a return of the couch co-op genre, I think. But they're like very distinct art style.
Yeah.
It looks like Overcooked, so.
Looks fun.
Yeah, it does. It does. So, check it out if you're interested. Hopefully, I'll have more to report on that. I think this would be a good game for the wifey and I to play. So, we shall see. What else you got, Lucas?
So, I read this a couple days ago. Almost a week ago was when this was published, so I apologize for not being funky fresh. But Keanu Reeves doubled his presence in Cyberpunk 2077 because he enjoyed it so much.
Huh.
And now Caro is going to pre-order this game.
No, because he's taken now, so she's upset.
Woman can dream. Dude, Keanu Reeves is just an amazing guy. Like, he's great. He always has these little stories that just make him seem like he's awesome. And what kind of became of this, and the reason why this is a story, is because the people who play Johnny Silverhand, Keanu Reeves' character, in other languages have gotten more work because of this. He personally reached out and said, like, I'd like to, in July, story director Marcin Blacha, I have no clue. Sorry. Said that Reeves was also responsible for making the character more relatable and complex. So, like, right from the get-go, it seems like he was into the project. And I don't know. I always think that helps when an actor is like, yeah, I'd like to try this. Like, even Sean Baichu was talking about how he was giving ideas for his characters and stuff. And to me, that there's a difference between I'm playing a character and I was hired to voice in a video game, you know what I mean? And that makes me excited because, sometimes you can have you'll have somebody who's known as a good actor and they come in to do video games and it's like I just needed to pay a bill, so get me out of here immediately. So yeah, I don't know, any little bit of 2077 news I can get, always makes me smile. So, because I'm really looking forward to this game. Me too.
And I didn't know this. Like, and maybe it's because I haven't been reading too much on Cyberpunk, even because I want it. I'm like, I'm in no matter what.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Exactly. Right. He lives in a chip in his head, in the main character's head.
Yeah, I saw that.
So he can turn up anywhere. So side note, this will make Caro immediately pre-order if she already had it pre-ordered. Despite all the time you'll be able to spend with him, you'll just be pals. He is not one of the romance options. Very sorry, Caro. Please understand. It is what it is.
Well, I'm not. I just canceled my pre-order too.
Oh.
JK.
So, Lucas, are you familiar with the FaZe clan?
No.
Okay. So it is an esports team. They are particularly known in the Counter-Strike leagues.
CS:GO?
Yes. They win a lot. They do play other games as well, but a specific player for FaZe Clan received a lifetime ban from Fortnite.
Yes, I read about this.
After releasing a video of him cheating in the Battle Royale shooter. So now this is given way for discussion about the severity of punishment and whether or not content creators should be banned at all. Go ahead.
To be clear, he wasn't cheating during a actual sponsored match or anything. It was on his YouTube channel that he was just playing the game and being like, I'm going to upload videos where I use aimbots.
Yes.
And for some reason he thought that was a good idea.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah, I mean, he even opened up a different account, didn't use his main account to use it. So it seems like he knew, like, hey, you're not supposed to be doing this to everybody, and he got banned. So I'm a little torn here. Had he been clearly he knew how to use the aimbot. So part of me might be wondering, like, okay, in this video he didn't use an aimbot, or he was using an aimbot. Has he used it in the past and not been caught?
Right.
Because I'm like, yeah, but and maybe not. So I'm giving the benefit of the doubt there. Okay. Second thing, if your livelihood depends on you playing Fortnite, like if that's your job, which for this individual it was, this is 17 years old, but this is his source of income was playing professionally, and you get banned. Number one, you risk that, and he had that there. 2 million subscribers on Twitch, which is nuts. Why would you teach other people how to do that? Because if that's your livelihood, that means if you're showing people how easy it is to do this, then more people are going to do it. And that screws up with your gameplay.
I'll tell you right now, I come down hard and fast on this. I don't think he should have been doing it at all. I think he should have understood that that's not fun for anybody. Aimbots suck, and people who use them are jerks. And I think as somebody who is kind of like an ambassador for certain games, you know, because he plays them professionally, he shouldn't be like, hey, I'm going to show you what cheating at this game looks like. No, you're just showing that it's okay to use these hacks and these aimbots and stuff, and nobody has fun when that happens. Okay, don't use them. It's dumb. Like, it just goes against everything that I feel like he has worked toward with becoming a professional gamer. Right. It's just such a confusing thing. Why would you even bother? Like, you should not even want to do that, because it goes against your brand, basically.
Exactly.
To use that awful term. But yeah, like, I don't know. I don't feel bad for you at all, except for you're 17 and don't make good decisions. So.
Right, exactly. It's like, you're a high school kid. I get you screwed up, but like his apology video, he's like crying. But the thing that got me the worst was his statement was, "I just wish I could have known how badly I was messing up." But clearly you did. You didn't use your regular Fortnite account.
Yeah.
You didn't tell people where to get the hack, which, I mean, that's a good thing you didn't do that. But like, you deliberately went out of your way to try and not get in trouble to make this video, other than making the video in the first place. You put all those precautions in. You knew you were doing something you weren't supposed to do. And when your livelihood depends on it, it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, Ninja even chimed in, because he was asked the day after his apology video came out. His mind, he says he should have been given a suspension of 6 months to a year, because his career depends on Fortnite. But to your point, like, you should know not to screw around like that. But I was surprised Ninja took even that hard of a stance, saying, well, no, he shouldn't be able to play for a year.
That's a long time.
Yeah, he says there's lines, you know, there's a difference between what content creators do and you're teaching millions of people what to do, but then he gets banned from what literally makes him money. But here's the thing: is like, you can go work at McDonald's like every other kid that's 17 years old, or, you know, pumping gas at the gas station.
You're responsible for what you do, and Epic says they have a zero tolerance policy for the usage of cheat software. They can't make an exception for you just because you base your life on this. Like, if they say they have zero tolerance, it's not zero tolerance except for the people who are famous and make money at it. Like, no, this is how the real world works. I'm sorry. Like,
exactly.
It really, like, I feel for you as a 17-year-old, but not as a person who makes millions of dollars playing a video game. yeah, maybe he didn't know. Maybe he should have known, but maybe he didn't. But then if you make that much money, you should probably have someone who oversees everything that you do and be like, hey, from a legality standpoint, this is going to get you in trouble, just so you know.
Which I'm surprised FaZe Clan didn't do, because that's a big organization in video game teams. Like, they have managers, they have people handle stuff. I'm really surprised somebody didn't maybe he doesn't have that much oversight, but I don't know. You think you'd run that by somebody, but yeah.
Well, I think the nail in the coffin is making a separate account. Even if they do, nobody knew about it probably.
Right.
And that tells me that you knew what you were doing because you wanted to make some money on the side doing these aimbot videos.
Mm-hmm. So,
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Sell the Ferrari, I guess.
All right. You got anything else?
Yeah, this is just it's not much news. It's actually just kind of a hopeful thing that I saw. So BioWare hints at imminent Dragon Age 4 activity.
Ooh.
They had a tweet, when was it? November 3rd, that says, today marks 10 years of Dragon Age. This year we're excited to join the community's party on December 4th, which is the unofficial day that people celebrate Dragon Age, apparently. Okay. And celebrate a decade together in the world we all love. See you on 12/4 for Dragon Age Day, but they use a 4 for the A. So Dragon Forage.
They're gonna forage. They're gonna forage.
Roll your forage skill. So it's possible that we may, because what we're really seeing here is that they acknowledged that there's a day, and they're going to see us on that day and take part. And that makes me hopeful that we hear some Dragon Age news, because Dragon Age was one of those. Mass Effect, Dragon Age, almost right next to each other. Yeah. So I really like Dragon Age 3 Inquisition, and I'm hoping that we see some more. We got to get BioWare back to form, They're going to stop making anthems. I'm sorry. It didn't work out. Nobody's talking about Anthem anymore.
And Mass Effect didn't work last one either, so.
No. Mass Effect. You had two stumbling blocks.
3 and you're out.
Yeah, 3 and I don't trust you anymore. Used to be Blizzard, BioWare, Rockstar. Now it's you're losing it. You're losing touch.
You're on thin ice, young man.
That's right. This is your final warning.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
That's right. Now I need a beer because I'm so angry and disappointed. Disappointed. Oh man. So yeah, Dragon Age. Do you like Dragon Age? Are you a Dragon Ager? Okay.
I do. Good. I do like Dragon Age. I just hope so EA confirmed that we likely wouldn't see it come out for like another 2 years.
Okay.
In an investment call recently. So whatever we see would be early on, but it could be a story trailer or something like that to get us going. My only hope is I really hope they don't release around the same time as the next Elder Scrolls. Because those two games, while different, they are similar. And I want to see both do well and have their own space.
Yeah.
So I really hope they don't come out like the same year, or God forbid the same season would be even worse. But because they're both games I'd like to spend time with, but I don't want to have to choose because Dragon Age might not win. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. And they're both long games, so it's not like you can just
get burnt out. You can't play them back to back either because you can't.
Yeah, it all starts to blend together, and you're just like, all right, the Dragonborn and and that's just not good.
Yeah. Damn. Last bit of news I got here. This is tied to the Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds will be out on Nintendo Switch sometime in the first 3 months of 2020.
Wow.
According to Take-Two, narrowing the earlier promise for release sometime in 2020. In an update to investors, the company also announced the delay of Kerbal Space Program 2 to sometime between April 1st, 2020 and March 31st, 2021. So
wow, that's very surprising.
I think they decided to kick that back and put the Outer Worlds on there. I will say, this would be a great game on the Switch. If they can nail the port, this could be very cool. This could be a big one for Nintendo.
I don't know. I don't understand how they can get these games on here, like with The Witcher 3 and now this, like, it's just like, how does that work? But that either speaks to the Switch's ability to like program and code for it and, take these games and make it work somehow, or the ability for some of these games to just like scale back a bit.
Yeah, the determination of the developers say, hey, I want to make this run on here. Like that's an effort.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be a seamless transition. Number one, is it cartridge based versus disc based, but then to just be like, the hardware isn't. It's like having stuff run on the PS3 and PS4, but look good on both somehow. It's like it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
just doesn't happen. So I don't know how they do it either, but I think it's just the determination of like, hey, Nintendo has this many units out, and there's always that appeal of like, yeah, but I could play the same game, but now on the go. Like people love it. It's I don't know, but it'd be very cool. I don't know if I'd jump in because I still have a hard time playing games that are big on the Switch and handheld.
Yeah,
I'd always want to play on the screen. And I mean, when you're playing on the screen, if I'm at that point, I'd rather just play it where it looks even better and runs even better, which would be on, Xbox or PS4. So
you need that Nintendo Switch Pro that they're coming out with.
Allegedly.
Only it looks like it might make more and more sense to do a docked only.
Yeah.
Not to get on
I
the
think
conspiracy bandwagon on that, but
no, because I'm with you. Because I've been very vocal in the Discord lately. Like the Joy-Cons, I'm just done. I'm fed up with it.
More like joke cons.
Yeah, well, as we said before, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I've never had a hardware problem with a Nintendo console ever. Never had a console die. Never had a controller wear out. But yet the Joy-Cons, like early on, stuff started going wrong, and now it's to the point like they're all like that. Yes, I know I can send it in. Yes, I know I could buy a kit and fix it myself. My point is I shouldn't have to.
It's true.
That's where my point is. And the fact that Nintendo somehow is continuing to get away with it just because like, hey, you can send them in for repairs. Well, okay, what do? I don't have Joy-Cons in the meantime. And they still haven't made a manufacturing change to how they produce these. So
yeah,
all new Joy-Cons are going to have the same thing. And then Switch Lite came out and I was like, maybe I'll get the Switch Lite and just keep my old Switch docked all the time. And that'll best of both worlds, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Now the Joy-Cons on the well, not Joy-Cons, but the sticks on the Switch Lite are failing too. They're drifting too. So it's like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Huge oversight.
Right.
That's
I want to
crazy.
give Nintendo my money. I want to be a fan, guys. You're making it hard for me to play your games right now. But yeah.
Remember when Microsoft had their Xbox 360s red ring of death all the time, and then you send them in, and eventually you might have gone through 3 Xbox 360s, but eventually they fixed the problem and or mitigated it somehow.
Right.
Come on, Nintendo.
I don't
You're
know.
dealing with thumbsticks. Let's go.
Right. And it's like, I don't know how I feel like they can't fix the ones that are out there now. Like, I think it's an engineering problem. Like something with the hardware is wrong. It's not gonna be like a software patch is gonna fix, but they haven't made any changes to the manufacturing yet. And, the new model is still the same stuff except for the better battery. So that's not the case. So it's like, until they do a Switch Pro, it sounds like they're just going to ignore this problem and let it ride out until then because they're selling them hand over fist anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know, Nintendo. Not mad, just disappointed.
Get it together.
Yes. Get in or get out.
We would like to play
our games that we bought.
Yes. On our cubes.
On our cubes.
They didn't have any other. I couldn't incorporate any other.
Gamosphere.
Exactly.
All right. What say we get out of here, Lucas? Let's wrap things up.
Sure, let's do it.
Where can people find you and your lovely self all over the interwebs?
Oh, I'm always hanging around the Discords on PSVG, checking in every once in a while, depending. You can always @ me on there. But I'm also on Twitter, and you can @ me at heavymetal_riff. Riff, not rift. Don't get confused. It's musical. It's a rise of lyric. Sonic boom. That's Guile.
In case you're wondering. Fair enough. You can follow me at PSVG Kevin. Follow the entire network over at PSVG. Head on over to the website, psvg.blog, to find all the amazing things we do and more. We're getting towards year end, so I'm sure there'll be lots of Game of the Year discussions, as well as our annual voting, which I probably need to start organizing. I'm surprised Donnie hasn't started yelling at me for not planning that yet to do our voting, which, Lucas, you get to participate in this year.
Ooh, I like voting.
Yeah. It's your American right. Do your duty.
I did an inaudible salute.
Yes, and audible salute would be weird. Anyway, let's get out of here, everybody. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for telling a friend. But as always, I'd like to ask that you never stop gaming.
I felt like that was a really good show, man.
It was. You want to go get some Pummel Party in or some Mario Kart before I have to edit this thing?
Yeah, I think I have some time before I put the kids to bed. Let's do it. Let's play some games, man.
All right, let's go.
So red means it's on, right? I'm pretty sure it does. Hello, PSVG fam. My name is my name is a mystery. A great mystery. If I was even to tell you my name, your mind would explode. Wait. That's the bit from Hello from the Tavern. This is Luke Lore, the insipid... No, that's Xbox expansion pass. Think. And I'm here to save the... Nope, that's off book. That's... What to do. Ha. This is the PSVG historian. My name is not important, but I am definitely not Coach Hulk. That is someone else. Someone very tall and handsome with great traps. Yes. As the PSVG historian, I am here to shed some light on the history of all things PSVG. Stories thought forgotten, left untold. Mysteries of the inner workings of the conglomerate that is PSVG. You see, it all started from a forum post. Back before the switch had been switched, a man with a plan decided he wanted more from a podcast. He wanted to talk games and give voices to those unable and afraid to step out into the light.
Hey, Lucas, I forgot to turn the equipment off. I'll be right back.
Let me leave you with this little nugget to ponder, and I will return to tell you the true story of PSVG.